They whisper like flowers with the teeth in their grin. I shrink myself down, try to quiet the din. One wrong word and the chord is in session. In Wonderland, every glance is a question. I wear my guilt like a velvet crown, ashamed before I even break down. Hyper aware, yet I still fall apart. Every stare feels like a dart to the heart. Welcome to Wonderland Unlocked, with Courtney guiding through every thought. Borderline in Wonderland, this is the place where shame wears a smile and hides its face. But here we name it, we speak what's true. No judgment can undo the real.
Welcome to Wonderland Unlocked, where we stir the cauldron of curiosity and step through doors not everyone dares to open. Today, we're brewing something powerful, something volatile. Emotions. Those mysterious potions we're all handed without instructions. Emotions are the elixirs of our experiences. They color every room we walk into, every word we speak or swallow. But what happens when those potions overflow? Or worse, when the bottle feels empty, like it's been drained dry? We're going to explore what I like to call the alchemy of emotion, because it's not just about what we feel, it's about the strange reactions, the transformations that happen inside us when feelings mix with memory, trauma, or expectations we've carried too long. For some of us, emotions come in like a flash flood. One word, one glance, and suddenly it's a downpour. You're not just irritated, you're devastated. You're not just hurt, you feel obliterated. This is the hypersensitive side of the spectrum. It's like living with all your emotional nerves on the outside of your skin. But then, there are days, maybe weeks, maybe years, when everything just feels flat, as if the potion shelf is empty. No joy, no sorrow, just fog. Emotional numbness can be just as destabilizing as feeling too much. It's not peace, it's absence, and yet the world keeps expecting you to react, smile, cry, be, quote, normal. In Wonderland, emotions weren't exactly neat. The Queen of Hearts shouted at the top of her lungs. The White Rabbit panicked. Alice cried rivers that swept her away. And while it might all seem whimsical on the surface, what if those were metaphors for how it really feels to live with emotional extremes? So here's the truth. If you've ever felt like your emotions are too loud or not loud enough, like you're either drowning in the potion or desperate for even a drop, you're not alone. In the next few minutes, we're going to break this open. What causes the emotional hypersensitivity? Why do some of us feel every shift in the emotional weather like we're made up of an antenna? And what makes others, or even those same people at different times, go completely numb, like the world's volume has been turned down? We'll talk about trauma and the nervous system, about how emotional dysregulation isn't a flaw. It's a survival skill that outstayed its welcome. We'll explore the difference between emotional responsiveness and emotional reactivity. One is about connection, the other is about protection. And when you live with something like BPD, those lines blur quickly. Think of it this way. Emotions are like magical potions, but most of us were never taught how to use them. Some of us were told our potions were too messy, too dramatic, too dangerous. Others were told to bottle it up, lock it down, be strong, be quiet. No wonder we ended up with potions that explode or vanish altogether. And yet, there's magic in learning how to work with them, to understand what your emotions are trying to say, even if they speak in riddles or metaphors, even if they come in too hot or not at all. So stay with me. In this episode, we're not just sipping the potions, we're learning how to brew our own, with care, with curiosity, with the knowledge that emotions aren't the enemy, they're messages, even when they're messy, especially when they're messy. So let's take a deeper look now. What does it really mean to feel everything? And what does it mean to feel nothing at all? Let's start with emotional hypersensitivity. When you feel everything, Your world is full of bright lights and sharp edges. A compliment can feel like a hug that fills your whole chest. A sideways glance can feel like a rejection so strong it echoes back to every time you've ever felt unwanted. This isn't just being sensitive, it's being emotionally raw. It's living with an open wound that keeps getting brushed against by accident or on purpose. For those of us with BPD, this is a daily experience. Your baseline isn't neutral, it's flooded. You might wake up already anxious, already sad, already spinning from a dream that touched something too real. And the world tells you you're too much, that you're overreacting, that your tears come too fast, that your anger is too loud. But here's what the world doesn't see. Underneath all that intensity is someone who just wants to be safe, to be heard, to matter. That's why even the smallest emotional shifts can feel suspect. A partner's silence, a friend canceling plans, a text left on unread. It's not just disappointment, it's heartbreak, it's fear, it's abandonment. And it happens fast because our emotional systems are wired to react for survival, not convenience. But then, sometimes, something strange happens. The storm stops. Not because the weather's cleared, but because it's gone silent. Too silent. Emotional numbness creeps in. It's not peace, it's blankness. You're not just calm, you're disconnected. It's the freeze after the fight or flight. It's emotional burnout. Your system says, too much, and shuts it all down. And here's the twist. The numbness can be just as painful, because you remember how much you used to feel. And now, nothing moves you. Not the things you love, not the things that used to bring you joy. It's like someone turned off the colors in your world. This is a defense mechanism too. Your body trying to protect you by muting the volume. But living like that feels like floating in space. Untethered, unseen, unreachable. And then there's the emotional whiplash, going from hypersensitive to numb and back again. That unpredictability can be exhausting. It makes it hard to trust yourself, hard to plan, hard to know how you're exactly doing. You might start to believe you're unstable or too much or not enough. But here's something Wonderland teaches us. Contradiction isn't chaos. It's part of the magic. Alice grew and shrank and cried oceans and questioned everything. She had to lose herself over and over before she could find herself again. That's not dysfunction, that's transformation. So, if you're swinging between extremes, it doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're responding to a world that often doesn't make sense. And your emotional system is trying to desperately make sense of it for you. You're not too much, you're not too little. You're a whole storm and stillness in one body. And Wonderland knows how to hold both. So far, we've explored what it feels like to drown in the storm or drift in the silence, but what happens when we stop trying to control the potions and start learning how to work with them? This is where we step into the art of emotional regulation. Not suppression, not avoidance, but tuning in without being overtaken. And that's no small thing when you've lived a lifetime of being told your feelings are dangerous, exaggerated, or inconvenient. For those of us with BPD, regulation doesn't mean feeling less. It means becoming fluent in the language of your emotions, understanding the why beneath the intensity, recognizing the moment your potion starts to boil, and knowing whether to cool it, contain it, or let it move through you. But let's be real. This is messy work. You don't learn from it from a rule book. You learn from it from surviving the mess over and over, and slowly realizing you have more power than you thought. Sometimes that power looks like naming the emotion. I'm not just angry, I'm scared. I'm not just distant, I'm overwhelmed. And naming is like labeling a potion bottle correctly. Suddenly, you know exactly what you're dealing with. Other times it's about grounding, using your body to send a message to your brain that it's okay to slow down, that you're safe, that you're here. Maybe it's deep breathing, cold water, squeezing a pillow, playing a song that reminds you of who you are outside the chaos. And sometimes, regulation means not shaming yourself for what you feel, not trying to rush the past pain or fix yourself before anyone else sees it. It means saying, of course I'm feeling this. Of course my potion is reacting this way. Look at what I've been through. Look at what I'm holding. In Wonderland, emotions don't follow logic, but they do follow story. Every character expresses something real. The March Hare's panic, the Dormouse's retreat, the Queen's rage, the Cheshire Cat's grin hiding confusion. You see them all, and you see yourself in them too. Because when your emotional world is loud, strange, or unpredictable, it helps to remember that it doesn't mean it's wrong. It means you're human. And probably it means you've had to adapt to things most people don't understand. So here's where the healing begins. Not by making your emotions quieter, but by making them safer to feel. By building rituals around emotional care. Maybe that's journaling after a hard conversation. Maybe that's checking in with yourself when you feel numb, asking gently, what went still in me today? Remember, emotional regulation isn't about never spilling your potion. It's about not being afraid of what's inside the bottle. Knowing that even if it's intense, it won't destroy you. Even if it's overwhelming, it's still you. And that self deserves compassion, not correction. So as we wrap up this segment, ask yourself, what does my potion need today? Rest, relief, recognition? Because at the end of the day, you're not just reacting. You're turning experience into insight, and insight into self-trust. You're not chaotic, you're complex, and Wonderland was always meant for complex. So here we are, standing at the edge of the emotional forest, potion bottles in hand, some half full, some cracked, some still fizzing from earlier storms. You've walked through hypersensitivity, numbness, regulation, and now we arrive at integration. Integration is the part no one teaches us. It's the daily, slow, courageous act of choosing to live with your emotional self, not against it. It's what happens when you realize you don't have to fix your feelings to be lovable or valuable or worthy of space. It's waking up and saying, today I feel like the Queen of Hearts, loud, tense, and ready to snap. Instead of judging it, you ask, what do I need? It's naming that you feel flat and far away, like the dormouse. And instead of forcing connection, you hold yourself gently in that quiet. Integration is trust. Trusting that your emotional experiences are information, not failures. Trusting that you can move through even the wildest storms without being lost in it. Trusting that numbness is not a sign that you're broken, but a sign something in you is asking to be seen in a new way. And in relationships, this trust changes everything. Because when you stop hiding your potion shelf, when you stop pretending your emotional chemistry is simpler than it is, you invite real connection. Messy, honest, Wonderland-style connection. It won't always be easy. People might not understand your shifts, your intensity, your quiet disappearances, but that doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you're learning how to take up space in a world that only knows how to reward emotional neatness. You don't have to shrink to be safe. You don't have to simplify to be seen. You just have to stay with yourself. The final magical emotional integration, it's this. You start to recognize your own patterns. You notice when you're falling into emotional freefall, and you reach for the tools. You notice when the numbness creeps in, and you light a candle for your stillness instead of panicking. You start speaking your emotions language fluently, and over time, you stop being afraid of what you feel. Because what you feel is yours. It's sacred. And it's not too much. You are not too much. You are layered. Wonderland worthy. So as we close this episode, I wanted to offer you a final image. You, in a quiet corner of Wonderland, surrounded by potion bottles, journals, soft light. A place where every emotional state is welcome. A place where the flood and the fog are both understood. Where you were never asked to be less, only invited to be real. Here's to the emotional alchemy. Here's to the hypersensitivity. to numbness, to the wild journey in between. Here's to honoring what others have called chaos, because it was always your magic. Until next time, may your potion shelf be yours alone, and may you never forget Wonderland was made for you.